Good afternoon. The federal government has announced the retaliatory tariffs it'll be imposing on U.S. goods amid the escalating trade war.
The tariffs cover a wide range of items, including seafood, dairy products, consumer goods, and industrial materials.
What Canadians can see this morning is that we stand united. We stand united in our response. We stand united in our resolve. We stand united in fighting for Canada.
Several ministers have gathered for the announcement. The federal government says it will be imposing tariffs of up to 50% on $27.6 billion worth of U.S. imports.
Our existing counter tariffs, including those on automobiles, will remain in place. Canada's remission framework will also remain available to mitigate unintended consequences for Canadian businesses. Canada's counter tariffs are designed primarily to provide protection for Canadian industry impacted by U.S. tariffs and allow them to compete against U.S. products in the Canadian market. It's all about fairness. It's all about level playing field. It's all about supporting Canadian workers and Canadian businesses.
And CTV's Michael Serapio has been following the trade war from Ottawa and joins us live with more. And Michael, we heard quite a bit from several Liberal MPs in a show of unity.
Absolutely, Nathan, and hello to you. And this was a show of unity, a team spirit, if you will, as the federal government continues to appeal to Canadians to display their own Team Canada spirit up against the United States in what is now an escalated trade war. And you heard there the countermeasures which Canada will apply on American goods, as Michelle said in the introduction, more than $27 billion worth of Canadian goods, American goods that come into Canada. And this is a direct comparison to the $28 billion of Canadian products going into the U.S. that the United States is now tariffing at about a 50% rate. And so we heard here what the government describes as a proportionate response, a targeted response, targeted in that it is not going much further than what the Americans did against Canadian firms, but really in terms of impact, trying to make sure that Canadian firms remain competitive despite potentially losing market share in the U.S. with the tariffs they are facing. So these are the tariffs that we will see in place come September the 8th. But that's not all that we heard today from the announcement. Take a listen right now to the Industry Minister, Mélanie Joly.
Our government is introducing a $7.5 billion package of new enhanced measures. So this package includes a lot of support through different agencies. So if you're a small business right now, you have to contact either your regional development agency or the BDC, which you're potentially already working with. Small businesses, through the regional development agencies, will have access to $3 million of non-repayable loans, so basically grants for $3 million, and up to $2 million of interest-free loans.
So from the Finance Minister, François-Philippe Champagne, we heard details about the counter tariffs that will be applied to the U.S. From Mélanie Joly, the Industry Minister, the plan to help small and medium-sized businesses right now suffering under these tariffs as they are on the front lines of it. And we also heard today, Nathan, some new supports for Canadian workers as well as support for Canadian companies to keep Canadians employed rather than laying them off should the time come.
And Michael, U.S. President Donald Trump seems to take offense with any reaction or countermeasures to his tariffs. Any idea how the U.S. might respond?
Yeah, I think this is a wait and see at this point, Nathan. What I can tell you is that we have heard from Jameson Greer, the U.S. Trade Representative. He has basically stated that, you know, any country that counter tariffs against the United States will then face another measure from the U.S. So will this escalate the war? We'll have to wait and see. What we can say is that the federal government has taken this very targeted approach to send a message, or to try to calibrate how to send a message without alienating Americans. As we know, at some point, the negotiations will resume. When that is, we do not know. But whether or not this makes it more difficult to come back to the negotiating table or will be accepted as a legitimate response, well, we're watching Washington throughout this day to see what we'll actually hear.
Yeah, it seems the whole country is watching. CTV's Michael Serapio in Ottawa. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Premier Doug Ford is staying on the offensive in the trade war with the U.S.
Ford has been appearing on U.S. television today, making the case for Canada in this ongoing dispute. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris has been following the trade war in relation to Ontario. She joins us live now with more. And Siobhan, we've seen Ford in past chapters of this trade saga go on American television. He's back at it, and it appears like many Canadians, he's fed up.
It really does, but I will say we are seeing a slight shift in tone in the interviews that the Premier has done this morning. We are outside his office right now where he's been doing those interviews. As you said, over the last 2 years, we've seen this a lot from the Premier, appealing to Americans directly on their airwaves about the damage that tariffs do on both sides of the border. What's different this time is it comes a day after things got really heated between Doug Ford and the U.S. President Donald Trump. In a news conference in Hamilton yesterday, the Premier called Donald Trump a dictator, a bully, a loser, invited him to kiss a certain part of his anatomy. We are seeing a slight difference in his interviews this morning. Those clips of Ford, it seems, have traveled around the world, and they do appear to have landed in front of Donald Trump. This morning, the president posted on social media that the U.S. was giving serious consideration to changing the name of Lake Ontario to Lake America. He later posted a mock-up of a map with that name change. But critically, he also said the U.S. doesn't expect to do much business with Ontario anymore. The Premier was asked about all of that on CNN this morning.
Well, I think it's a lot of rhetoric because we're the #1 customer to 17 states, #2 to 12 others, Ontario alone. If Ontario was just standalone, would be the 3rd largest trading partner in the world. Canada is the #1 customer, and we buy a tremendous amount of goods off Americans. 9 million Americans wake up every single morning to produce a product, a widget, or a service for Ontario.
Now, the Premier did pass by just before we were going to air. He didn't want to talk, but he did admit on CNN that maybe it was time to bring down the temperature and emphasize that he does want to reach a deal. He has more interviews to go, 3 of them on U.S. airwaves this afternoon. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Nathan and Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. And reaction has been pouring in over U.S. President Donald Trump's threat, you heard there, to rename Lake Ontario to Lake America.
It comes as Trump has returned to rhetoric describing Canada as the 51st state, renewing concerns about his views on Canada's sovereignty. And CTV's Beth Macdonell has been speaking with people along the waterfront about Trump's latest threat and joins us live with more. Beth.
Yeah, and Nathan, people are quick to react. As soon as I mention U.S. President Donald Trump, there's almost a sense from people of now what? And local politicians are also weighing in. The mayor of Mississauga, Carolyn Parrish, saying in part, "I and everyone in Mississauga am proud to be living along the shores of Lake Ontario," in capital letters. "We will defend its good name!" exclamation point. Toronto City Councillor Paul Ainsley writing, "We shouldn't have given most of Michigan back, which was captured during the War of 1812. I think most people living there would be happier as Canadians right now." Few exclamation marks there. No more Lake Michigan, Lake Canada, more exclamation marks. We've also been speaking with Ontarians down by Lake Ontario today. Some people say it's silly. Some are not too surprised, but people are saying it's not going to happen.
First of all, it's international water, so he has no right to rename a body of water that is not American. So I think he needs to learn a little bit of geopolitics and understand the way the world works.
He's delusional. We all know that.
Once again, he hasn't given this any thought whatsoever, and that's the way he speaks. And I don't think it's going to go anywhere.
Yeah, obviously he can't do it. And we like Lake Ontario because we're in Ontario.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Since it's been that probably for 200 years, I've got to guess. But no, I don't know. I'm trying to remain calm, not get too heated about it, but it is frustrating for sure, yeah.
Most people we've been speaking with so far seem to think this latest threat about renaming Lake Ontario to Lake America, think it's more about Trump than it is a threat to Canadian sovereignty. Reporting live, I'm Beth Macdonell, Michelle and Nathan. Back to you.
Thank you, Beth. A new poll finds Canadians have mixed feelings when it comes to the latest developments in the trade war. 1 in 5 respondents to the Angus Reid survey say they're frustrated or angry, while another 20% say they feel anxiety, fear, uncertainty, and disappointment. Meanwhile, 70% of people want to see a Team Canada approach, while 2/3 of respondents believe the trade war will badly impact their province. And our web team is putting out live updates of the Canada-U.S. trade war. You can get all the details on our website, ctvnewstoronto.ca.
Still to come on CTV News at noon, Canadian consumer debt reaches a record $2.64 trillion in the second quarter of 2026. We'll take a closer look at the numbers a little later in the newscast.
Police say they made an arrest in the 2022 murder of a Toronto man. The arrest comes less than a month after police released security footage of a suspect in the fatal shooting of 31-year-old Ding Ping Wang. Investigators say the footage shows the suspect traveling the same route the day before Wang's murder. Yesterday, 39-year-old Justin Longshaw was arrested and charged with first-degree murder.
A woman is dead after being struck by a vehicle in Newmarket late last night. This happened in the area of Davis and Parkside Drives just before 11. York Regional Police say the woman was rushed to hospital where she later died. The driver of the vehicle involved, a 22-year-old man, has been charged with dangerous operation causing death in connection with the incident.
A cyclist has been taken to hospital after being doored by a tow truck. It happened just before 8:15 this morning near Church and Bloor. Police say the cyclist struck the open door of a tow truck. The cyclist was taken to a trauma center with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. The tow truck driver remained at the scene. And a man's been taken to hospital after being struck by a vehicle in Scarborough. Now, this happened near Nielsen and Livonia Place shortly before 10 this morning. Police initially reported the man was riding a motorcycle when he was struck, while paramedics say he was riding an e-scooter. The man was taken to a trauma center with serious injuries. The other driver involved remained at the scene.
A young person was taken to hospital after being struck by a vehicle in Mississauga last night. It happened around 7:30 in the Aaron Center Drive and 10th Line area. Peel Police say the victim was under 18 years old and taken to hospital with serious injuries. The driver involved remained on scene. The circumstances leading up to the victim being struck are still under investigation.
There was a fire at a North York business overnight. Flames could be seen shooting out of the building on Edgar Avenue near Wilson and the 400 just after 3 in the morning. Emergency crews say the fire has since been extinguished. The cause is still under investigation. Meanwhile, a large tree fell onto a roadway downtown. This was the scene on Sheldrake Boulevard, east of Yonge, where the tree fell onto a vehicle. It also downed several poles and power lines. A cleanup and power restoration effort is underway in the area. Nobody was hurt.
Police are appealing for information after 5 statues were stolen from a Richmond Hill park. The CTV News chopper was over Lake Wilcox Park this morning. York Regional Police say the statues, which include a distinctive bronze turtle and 4 smaller ones, were reported stolen on August 12th. However, it's unclear if that's the date they were actually taken. So far, police have not released any information about possible suspects. They're asking anyone who might have some details to come forward.
Post-secondary students in Ontario are preparing to take on more debt as the new school year approaches. Earlier this year, the Ford government announced it would cut student assistance grants from 85% to a maximum of 25%. The rest will have to be paid back. It comes at the same time the government ended a 7-year freeze on tuition. That allows colleges and universities to raise fees by up to 2% a year for the next 3 years. Some student groups say people are choosing not to further their education because of the cost, while the province says the change was necessary to protect the OSAP program going forward.
Time for a live look at the city this afternoon. The sunshine has returned and the temperature is a lot warmer than it felt yesterday. We're into a lovely stretch of sunshine and putting the rain behind us. Lindsay Morrison is here with all the sunny details. Lindsay.
Yeah, most folks are putting the rain behind them, Michelle, at least temporarily. I do want to show you the satellite and radar. We do still have a fair amount of cloud cover for parts of cottage country and east of the GTA. Still some wet weather around Ottawa and Kingston, but around the GTA, beautiful beautiful sunshine right around the Golden Horseshoe, in fact, and across southwest Ontario, too. It is a lovely day. Winds out of the northwest. They are going to ease now as we make our way into the afternoon. Temperature-wise, this is as warm as it got yesterday, and we still have several hours of daytime heating to go. So 22 degrees at Pearson Airport feels more like 26. It is a beautiful day. Finally, to head to the CNE, 25 is what we're forecasting for this afternoon. Will feel closer to 30, so take that into consideration as you protect yourself from the sun and stay hydrated. Couple of nice days ahead over the next 7 days. We're going to take a look at your 7-day weather forecast, which of course includes the weekend. That's coming up, but for now, Michelle, I'm going to send it back over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. 2 new out-of-control wildfires have erupted in northwestern Ontario, one located about 24 kilometers north of Rossport. The other is burning on an island just east of Neskantaga First Nation. They are 2 of 64 active wildfires in the northwest as of 7:16 p.m. last night. The Ministry of Natural Resources says 5 of those fires were not under control, 3 are being held, and 12 are under control. In the northeast region, no new fires were confirmed as of 6:15 last night. MNR reporting there were 42 active fires, 3 of them under control. The remaining 39 are being observed. In BC, meantime, officials are warning of a return to hot, dry, windy conditions this week. About 180 wildfires are burning in that province. There were around 125 before a weekend storm unleashed 11,000 lightning strikes. The storm also brought significant rainfall, helping to moderate fire behavior in a summer that's otherwise been very dry. 75% of the new fires have already been classified as held, under control, or extinguished.
A grounds crew worker is dead after being hit by a plane at Montreal's Trudeau Airport. Emergency crews were called to the airport after the worker was struck by an airplane backing up on the tarmac. Passengers were taken off the plane several hours later. Montreal police say the case has been transferred to Employment and Social Development Canada.
Canadian consumer debt reached a record $2.64 trillion in the second quarter of this year. In its latest credit industry survey, TransUnion is reporting debt levels rose faster than the number of Canadians who were using credit. Existing borrowers are carrying larger balances than last year, with total outstanding balances growing by $116.7 billion year over year. While most consumers continue to keep up with their debt payment, a greater number are seeking debt relief. CTV's Scott Hurst has been taking a closer look at the numbers. He joins us live now with more. Scott, how are Canadians coping with the financial pressures? And I'm sure this escalating trade war not helping matters.
Michelle, good afternoon. In the big picture side of it, the escalating trade war and tariffs, that is getting a lot of attention right now. And of course, that is a serious concern at the federal level. And we're seeing the impact on industries impacted from the sectoral tariffs. But ultimately, it is your average worker and your average consumer that feels the impact as well, at a time where Canadian consumers are already facing significant affordability concerns. And we're seeing that from new numbers out today from consumer credit reporting agency TransUnion. And here's one of the big numbers that reflects the increasing difficulty so many of us are facing. Canadians with non-mortgage debt owed an average of more than $28,000. That's up almost 8% from a year earlier, and we're borrowing more to cover a lot of different expenses, and it's not just one category. We're borrowing more for auto loans, up 8%, lines of credit and personal loans also up 7%, and credit cards are up 5%, as so many of us are relying more heavily on credit just to manage ongoing financial pressures. And these numbers are painting a picture of increasing financial stress for many. Consumer credit debt hit a record, as you mentioned, of $2.64 trillion in the second quarter, with existing borrowers carrying larger balances than last year, and total outstanding balances grew by almost 5% from year over year. As I mentioned, so many turning to credit and just to cover so many of their day-to-day expenses, as we are being squeezed in so many different areas, Michelle.
That is for sure. How is this all impacting new mortgages as well as and home buying?
As I mentioned, this is impacting our financial picture significantly for Canadians from coast to coast. And another way it is impacting us, we're seeing in these new numbers growth in new mortgages slowed significantly as price pressures that we've been detailing are adding up. Affordability challenges, economic uncertainty, and cautious consumer sentiment appear to be dampening home buying activity to an extent, despite improving housing market conditions. New mortgage origination increased about 8%. That is well below the double-digit growth seen in recent quarters. At the same time, new home buyers were borrowing less, suggesting affordability pressures may have pushed some buyers toward lower-priced homes, larger down payments, or more affordable housing markets. And so those are just some of the affordability concerns that are highlighted in this new report from TransUnion, showing how much we are relying on debt just to cover so many of our day-to-day expenses.
That's too bad. CTV's Scott Hurst live for us in the National Newsroom. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Uncertainty over the ongoing war between the U.S., Israel, and Iran is continuing to impact the cost of fuel here at home.
CTV's Garrett Berry has more on the fuel price pain, particularly for tourism businesses in Atlantic Canada.
Around 2,500 liters of diesel goes into these engines every 10 days or so for Gatheralls, one of the oldest tourism companies on Newfoundland's Irish Loop.
It's one of them factors that you have to roll with the punches. Instead of putting on an extra charge, it leaves a bad taste in the client's mouth.
With 4 trips a day, each around 2 hours long, that diesel is burned fast. And current prices, nearly $2.50 per liter in St. John's, are burning a bit of a hole in this company's pocketbook.
We've been lucky enough this year to have more tourism and more people, so more trips, which does help on the other side of the scale of things.
In a few weeks, those prices are set to inch higher when the federal tax break on gas and diesel expires September 7th.
Having that suspension extended would certainly help. I think it was very welcome news when it was brought in.
Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador CEO Craig Foley says there's still tourism season left, even after kids go back to school. So more weeks of that tax break would be welcome.
We asked about that fuel tax break today, and while we heard from the finance minister's office that the government will continue to pursue measures that lower costs, there was no firm answer on whether that tax break will be extended past September 7th.
I think Ottawa has to get real and recognize that this is a significant inflationary crisis that affects the cost of everything.
With diesel prices soaring up 50 cents per liter compared to this time last year and gas staying high, fuel analyst Dan McTeague says Ottawa and the provinces should take a hard look, not just on those federal excise taxes, but on the GST and HST applied at the pumps. Garrett Berry, CTV News in Bay Bulls, Newfoundland and Labrador.
President Donald Trump says all mines have been detonated or removed from international waters in the Strait of Hormuz. He also insisted today Tehran has been told that any vessel placing new mines will be destroyed. Attacks on ships in the key global energy waterway have continued as the two sides vie for control of the narrow passage. Data indicates oil transits through the strait were at 5 million barrels per day yesterday. That's down from more than 20 million per day before the war.
The cleanup is underway after a rare tornado touched down in southern France. Dozens of people were hurt when the twister swept through a village late yesterday. None of the injured are in critical condition. Now, the tornado struck as this summer's intense heat wave gave way to thunderstorms in many areas of the region. About 300 of the 500 homes in the village have been damaged. 100 of them may no longer be safe to live in. All homes in the community have been evacuated while officials check the house's safety. France gets a few dozen tornadoes a year.
The Toronto Zoo is sharing an update on its baby giraffe as it marks 6 months since she was born. Amara was born in February, and zoo staff say she has grown a lot. She's now more than 8 feet tall and weighs more than 560 pounds. Zoo staff describe her as curious, adventurous, and confident. They say she continues to explore her surroundings and learn from her mother. Lindsay.
Well, it is a nice day to be outside today, and the evening is going to be quite similar. Lots of sunshine, comfortable temperatures, whether you're headed to the Ball Diamond or maybe simply enjoying dinner on a patio tonight or your balcony. Looks like it's going to be a nice one. Overnight tonight, we are seasonal, 15 degrees for a low under a partly cloudy sky. And then the next couple of days are promising as well. Overnight tomorrow and into Thursday, a few showers are going to creep back into the forecast. Thursday itself won't be a washout. Look at Friday, lots of sunshine, a little cool for this time of year, but it's going to help kick off what should be a pretty nice weekend here in the GTA. We'll talk all about it after the break here on CTV News at noon. Stay with us.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400. From your screen to ours. Text 10400.
All right, let's talk about the forecast. And today is a reminder that summer is not over. Still going strong.
Yeah, I was out of the house quite early this morning, and you could feel the difference from yesterday. Warm, and now we're seeing the sun again, and it just makes a difference for everyone's plans.
That's when the change comes first, I find. Early in the morning, it starts to feel a little like fall, but then, yes, by the afternoon, by this time of day, summer is back in full force. And today's one of those days where we get to enjoy that, the sunshine, over Lake Ontario. It looks beautiful, doesn't it? Lake Ontario.
Nice, well said.
Let's talk about what's happening into the weekend, because it's going to be pretty nice the rest of the week. There is at least one day that we're going to maybe need to keep the umbrella handy. It's not going to be a washout of a day. And temperature-wise, if anything, we are seasonal or slightly below, but there's a bit of heat building toward the end of your 7-day forecast. Let's get to it. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm Injury Lawyers. You don't pay unless they win. And we had a beautiful sunrise this morning over Lake Ontario. There's the CN Tower. Our CTV News chopper was up bright and early as well, capturing it for us. And yeah, nice day today. A little bit of cloud in the mix, certainly warmer than it was yesterday. The wind's not quite as brisk. Let's take a look at where things stand currently. We are still in the low 20s in many different parts of southern Ontario. 20 degrees right now in Kingston. You're getting a little bit of rain in your neck of the woods. Still teen temperatures in places like Wyerton and North Bay. Windsor warming up, 24 degrees right now, feels more like 27. Today's highs are expected to be in the mid-20s in most areas, feeling like the upper 20s, feeling close to 30 for us here in the city. And through the night tonight, it is seasonal, partly cloudy sky. Winds are going to be light, uneventful for the most part. And then waking up tomorrow, yeah, quite similar. Mix of sun and cloud. It does feel a little fresh if you are an early riser, but as the day goes on, tomorrow's going to be quite similar to today temperature-wise. So if you like what you see here, I think you're going to like what's in store for your Wednesday also. 26 degrees tomorrow in Vaughan, 27 in the Oakville area, and 24 degrees in Haliburton. Still that 30% chance of a shower. But again, I do think most areas will be dry. Port Perry, similar situation. So here's the satellite and radar. All is clear around the GTA. Wet weather again extending into the province of Quebec and into upper New York State. Here's a look at what's going to come as we make our way into Wednesday overnight and through the day on Thursday. So next disturbance, this one isn't a big soaker like what we experienced over the weekend. We had those heavy downpours. We had significant rainfall totals. This is not like that. Here's a look at your Wednesday. Midday, we're going to enjoy a nice mix of sun and cloud. By about the dinner hour, we can see some of these showers and maybe thunderstorms starting to approach. Not so much for us here in the GTA, but we might get into some periods of wet weather through the overnight and then into the day on Thursday. Scattered showers are likely into the afternoon. But again, this isn't an all-day wash. We are looking at a mix of sun and cloud otherwise throughout the day. And then Friday might start off with a little bit of cloudiness, but the afternoon is looking beautiful. Lots of sunshine expected. It is a cooler day that day, so 23 degrees for the high, humidex 25. The weekend, it's looking dry at this point with sunshine, especially for Saturday. Mix of sun and cloud for Sunday. We're starting to see the temperature tick back up. Humidex values are going to be once again around 30 for Sunday. And then it could feel like 35 into the early part of next week. So yes, summer not quite finished just yet. That's your look at the forecast for now. Nathan, I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Lindsay. The Blue Jays will continue their push for a wild card playoff spot when they begin a 3-game set with the Kansas City Royals tonight.
Ball 4, and the Yankees take the lead.
The Jays are coming off an 8-3 loss to the Yankees on Sunday. The team is currently 2 games back of the final playoff spot in the American League. Max Scherzer will start for Toronto tonight against Kansas City. First pitch is set for 7:07 at the Rogers Center. And Blue Jays ace Dylan Cease is bringing new meaning to the phrase painting the corners.
The Art Gallery of Ontario has created a limited edition collection featuring artwork by the pitcher. CTV Sean Leathong joins us now live from the AGO with a closer look at the exhibition. Sean.
Well, Michelle and Nathan, the painting behind me is called Eve of Toronto, done in February of 2026. It's an acrylic on canvas done by artist Dylan Cease. And as you mentioned, the artist in his spare time actually is a starting pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays. He's having an all-star season, is in contention for the Cy Young Award. But we're focusing on the art that is here. Now, the funny story about how this art actually managed to get to the Art Gallery of Ontario, it was a chance encounter. Dylan Cease is the type of person who, on his off days, likes to explore the city he's in, and he came to the AGO because he himself is an artist. As you can see, when he was walking around, somebody from inside noticed that the Blue Jays All-Star was inside. They managed to take a photo, and quickly they created this exhibit. Now, it's not just this painting that we're seeing hanging here, but they're also created t-shirts with the artwork on it, tote bags, and prints as well. All of the proceeds are going to the AGO's charitable mission. Now, there was beyond what we had from Dylan Cease today. There was many kids here who came to join, and many Blue Jays fans were lined up around the corner for a chance to see the painting and to get a photo with the Blue Jays starting pitcher. Now, he also spoke to the media about this event, and we asked him what it was like to see his art hanging in a gallery.
I think it really just I don't know, it makes me happy, helps me feel good about life, helps me kind of have something that's, I guess, opposite from baseball in the sense of baseball is sort of more warlike, you know, and painting's more forgiving in the sense of I can just go put whatever I want on there, and it doesn't have to be, you know, I'm not having to be perfect, I'm just having fun and enjoying it. So I think it helps me balance my life and balance myself in a lot of ways, and ultimately, I just really enjoy doing it. You know, I'll sit and, you know, I had no idea I made this, probably spent 8 hours on it. I had no idea it'd be here, but I just did it for fun, you know?
Now, it's interesting because Dylan Cease also doesn't take himself too seriously. When asked why he doesn't paint specific photos of himself or any of the players on his team, he says, well, he can't really draw. He just does expression like this, and he loves to do it. So he will continue. He's been doing it for a number of years, and there may be more of these here in the future. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. Nathan Michelle, send it back to you.
A man of many talents. Thank you, Sean. Well, a member of the advisory board for the Professional Women's Hockey League is not for sale. Stan Kasten has confirmed the governance of the 12-team league will remain stable, even as co-founder Mark Walter looks to sell off parts of his sports empire. The move comes amid U.S. federal investigations into loans between Walter's insurance companies and businesses with ties to him. Kasten also says there is no expected change in the ownership structure of the PWHL. Meanwhile, the Montreal Victoires' missing Walter Cup has been found. The replica cup was supposed to spend last Thursday with forward Dana Gregg. However, the shipping container showed up from Lethbridge without the cup inside. In an update, the Victoire said the cup has been found and is ready to hit the road. The PWHL didn't say where the trophy was discovered or how it went missing.
Still to come, Canadians are facing higher food prices amid the ongoing trade war. We'll have more on the potential impact on the cost of school lunch when we come back.
Canadians continue to face higher food prices amid the ongoing trade war, meaning parents could be paying more to fill up kids' lunch boxes when they return to school.
Things are easing, and we're also expecting a easier September as well. So vegetables are our savior right now. I mean, it's actually cheaper in the produce section. Of course, meat is still a problem. Bakery is actually quite affordable. Dairy is a non-story. So things are actually much better, easier to manage for families on a tight budget. September is also going to be the same thing, but But the not so good news is that we are expecting a bit of an upswing when it comes to food inflation starting in October until the end of the year, an increase of maybe 6 to 7%, unfortunately.
Despite a slowdown, July marked the 18th straight month that grocery prices continued to outpace overall inflation. A man from London is walking from his home to Queen's Park, all while pushing an empty wheelchair.
It's part of an effort to raise money for his daughter, who's in desperate need of spinal surgery. But the procedure is not covered by OHIP. CTV's Spencer Turcott has the story.
For the last 2 weeks, Joe Gesualdi of London has done a lot of walking.
Get my steps in.
And no kidding. Walking and waving and talking.
Love it, love it, love it. We appreciate you guys.
On Sunday in Paris, Joe was speaking to anyone he can about his daughter Sydney and her heartbreaking story.
So Sydney was 24 years old and graduated from McMaster University and had just started her own business, and at the age of 24 was rear-ended in a collision and suffered severe catastrophic neck injury.
Since the crash, Sydney's had complications, leaving her neck and her life in a vulnerable position.
The net result is that Sydney is unable to walk, unable to bathe, unable to feed herself, and requires our constant attention 24/7.
According to Gesualdi, the quest to get the surgery done in Ontario has been frustrating.
And we were rejected by 10 neurosurgeons in London, Ontario, and the GTA. And we were left with no treatment options.
The Gesualdis found a doctor in New York who can do the surgery, but at the cost of over $500,000 in out-of-pocket expenses.
Dozens of Canadians who have had the cranial cervical fusion and restored functionality back to people like Sydney.
Now, Joe, along with his wife Kim as spotter, are spending their weekends walking to Queen's Park.
The empty wheelchair represents everything that has been taken from her, and as her father, I will take the torch up and fight on her behalf.
Hoping to fundraise the money needed for their daughter and create the policy changes needed for others in the future.
The policy fix will not occur in time to help Sydney, so I've had to take this on to get her immediate attention, medical attention, and the surgery in New York, because the policy will not change in time to help Sydney.
The Miles for a Miracle walk is expected to arrive in Queen's Park September 16th, and they have a GoFundMe page to raise money for Sydney's procedure. Jeff Pickle, CTV News, Paris.
Still to come, some of the most famous movie props ever are on the auction block. We'll have the details when we come back.
The GTA is one of the only places you can literally eat your way across the globe in a single day. From hidden strip mall gems to lineup-worthy hotspots, we're diving fork first into the city's best international eats. Lily's Grill in Scarborough is the go-to spot when you're craving authentic Greek food, packed with flavor and made fresh every day. Let's head inside to see what's on the menu. How long have you been here, and what does it mean to you to have people that come back over and over again?
I've been here 3 years, and I have customers. In the beginning, we didn't have lots of customers, but now those customers, they're like my family here. So I treat them like my family, so they keep coming.
Now I feel like we're family now, yeah. Thank you, Lily. All right, this is Lily's choice.
Thank you. It's a nice one, huh? Nice and fresh.
Very good.
Thank you.
Junior made this for me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Junior.
Thank
you. juicy. That's really good. From juicy souvlaki to creamy tzatziki and perfectly seasoned fries, every bite feels like a quick trip to Greece. With big portions and a laid-back vibe, it's no surprise locals keep coming back for more. And that's a wrap on Lily's Grill, where every plate tastes like a Greek getaway. Trust us, one visit and you'll already be planning your next order. Full details at cb24.com. Thanks very much. Have a great day.
If you're planning a trip, you may be tempted to book a flight, hotel room, or rental car through a third-party website.
You can often get a better deal, but if there is a cancellation, you could end up stuck in the middle trying to get the refund. CTV's Pat Foran has more on one woman's experience.
Very disappointed, but on the other hand, safety comes first.
Vivian of Mississauga asked we only use her first name. She flew to Poland in March to meet her husband, and they planned an anniversary trip. First to Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates, and then on to the Maldives Islands in the Indian Ocean. They were on the plane ready to take off when the conflict in the Middle East caused the airline to cancel their flight.
Unfortunately, the war broke out and we stuck on the plane and the flight got canceled because the airspace was closed in Abu Dhabi.
The 2 round-trip tickets cost almost $10,000. When Vivian contacted the airline, Etihad Airways, she was told she was entitled to a full refund. But because she booked through Expedia, the money would have to be refunded to the booking website first. Etihad Airways issued the refund of almost $10,000 to Expedia, and Vivian was told she would get her money back in 4 to 8 weeks. But she never did.
We expect a refund by April. And then we called in April and never happened. They said another 4 to 8 weeks.
Months passed, and despite promises, the refund never showed up. Vivian became concerned she might never get it.
Everybody said the same thing, but I just don't see the money back. I don't see my money.
When CTV News reached out to Expedia on Vivian's behalf, a spokesperson said, upon investigation, her refund request was submitted incorrectly to the airline. We sincerely apologize for the inconvenience this caused. Expedia then refunded the $9,934 right away, which was great news for her.
You got the money back, a full refund, and plus they give us a $400 credit. We really appreciate the help. Wish all the best for CTV.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
Australia is set to ban music generated by artificial intelligence from official charts as the industry says the technology threatens artists' livelihoods.
When you call my name, it's like a little prayer. I'm down on my knees. I wanna take you there.
The Australian Record Industry Association announced the move today. It comes as a version of Madonna's hit Like a Prayer, created by an Australian producer using AI-generated vocals and drums, has spent 16 weeks on the charts. The association says some AI-assisted music will remain eligible as long as it meets certain requirements, including featuring human vocals.
Wilco frontman Jeff Tweedy and Los Angeles songwriter and producer Phineas are set to pay tribute to Feist at next month's Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame induction ceremony in Toronto.
I got a man to stick it out and make a home from rented house.
Tweedy and Phineas say they were both inspired by Feist's music and will perform her songs at the gala on September 26th at Massey Hall. Phineas, who is Billie Eilish's brother and collaborator, will also induct Feist into the Hall of Fame.
Some of the most famous props in movie history are up for auction. The white disco suit worn by John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever is expected to sell for up to $400,000. The stunt axe used by Jack Nicholson in The Shining is also up for sale, along with the scissors from Edward Scissorhands, the bat suit Michael Keaton wore in Batman Returns, and the license plate from Back to the Future. More than 1,700 lots are up for grabs in the online prop store auction. It begins tomorrow and runs through Sunday. You're watching CTV News at noon. More to come. Stay with us.
A comedian from Richmond Hill has turned Canada's Wonderland into his own office.
Welcome back to Working From Home from Wonderland, a series where I get my work done at Canada's largest amusement park for the next year and a half, while also trying to milk $10,000 of retail value out of my pass. Let's clock in for day
Ryan
81.
Zeitz has worked from a lounge in the amusement park for the past 132 days. He says he unwinds by going on a few rides before heading home. Zeitz says that while going to Wonderland can be expensive, he's actually saving money. His Prestige Pass includes admission, parking, Wi-Fi, food and drinks, all for less than $450. Sounds reasonable.
And
It's
you
not a
get
bad
to
idea.
be at Wonderland.
Yeah, it's
so
kind of fun.
Is he doing any rides on his lunch break?
Well, he says before he goes home, he goes on rides.
Ah, my goodness. I don't know. Would you? I don't know.
He's a comedian. He's a
It's
comedian.
content.
A different breed.
Oh, my kids would love that.
We're talking about
Yeah,
it, so
exactly.
something's going right. And we're talking about a nice weather day today, a nice one tomorrow as well. In fact, let's begin there with a look at what you can expect into the day tomorrow. When it comes to plans, this is going to be a good one. 26 degrees, feeling like 31 with a mainly sunny sky. Now, it is worth pointing out that into the evening, we're going to watch for an increase in cloudiness, and then a few showers move in for the overnight hours. But yes, it is warm across the board. It's been a little cool in places the last day or so. Here's the thing, it might get even cooler as we make our way through this week, but look what happens into the early part of next week. That's a bit of a ridge building over southern Ontario. So if you find the weather as of late just a little too fall-like, don't worry, there is more summer to come, including many sunny days. Friday and the weekend looking awesome at this point. It's Monday where we could be back to feeling like 35 once you take the humidity into consideration. Nathan and Michelle.
All right, looking forward to it. Thanks, Lindsay. And that's it for CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Dowd. And be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6.